right? So Alberta's debt officially is over $70 billion, and you did hear that right. That is a very crazy amount, for a lot of reasons. And the first point I want to make is that when the NDP took over in 2015 or 2016, whatever year it was at about 11 billion, I believe. So exclusively, this is pretty much the NDP's fault. Now, I don't want to let the Conservatives completely off the hook, but the Conservatives are in a really tough place. I mean, I know what I would do, but they're in a very, very tough place because if they cut spending in any way, shape, or form, the left is going to call them the usual terrible leftist arguments of, oh, they hate the poor, they want the poor to die. Well, that's like saying that, you want your kids to die if you're poor and you're not going into massive amounts of credit card debt every month and borrowing as much money as you possibly can from like payday loan, places and whatnot. Like, do you hate your kids if you don't do that kind of stuff? Well, no. You're just living within your means. And that's the thing about the provinces, and what the left does is they get the public used to living way beyond their means. And obviously anyone that understands basic math knows that it can't be sustained. So the NDP eventually enough of the population, I mean not enough to make a massive change, but that 5-10% of the population that supported the BS wakes up and recognizes that it's not going to last. A right-leaning government gets in, they cut spending, rightfully so, and you get these calls from the left, like is currently happening in Alberta. They're destroying the healthcare sector and the public sector, even though, like, a tenth or less than a tenth of public sector workers have lost their jobs compared to people in the private sector. But like I've said a million times, they care. Anyone in the right mind would care a lot more about the 100,000, people within the hundreds of thousands of people that have lost their job in the private sector, rather than the 4 or 5 thousand people that are losing their jobs in the public sector. And a lot of those are retirees. That the other thing that the left doesn't tell you is that when someone working in the public sector retires and their job isn't essential to running the province or running whatever department they're in, they don't rehire, which anyone in the right mind would have a system like that. But the left doesn't like that, and the reason why the left does it is that the more people working in the public sector, the more people that feel like they're dependent on government to get by, and which means the more leftist voters. So people always criticize people that have opinions like mine of being so brash and crazy, and really all I'm doing is assigning what's best for me motive. It's really the other way around that has the horrible doomsday scenario. It's the left that thinks that if you disagree with them that you want poor people to die and all this kind of stuff. I'm just saying that people want what's best for them. Like, of course someone who's poor wants free health care. Of course someone who's taken no care of their health whatsoever wants free health. I mean, it's not free, but just for sake of argument, let's call it free. So, and of course, someone who makes 100, 200, $500,000 a year wants to lower taxes. Like, it's just what's in my best interest. Like, it's the thing that about the left is and leftist positions is they tend to just project their own doomsday nightmare scenarios onto the right. It's if you don't want free healthcare, you want the poor people to die, and all this crazy stuff. And it's really the other way around. But and like you see too, your share $16,000 per person, and that's not even including federal debt, not only that, personal debt. Like, I mean, most people are in either they're in personal debt, whether it's credit cards, whether it's car payments, whether it's mortgage, whatever. They're in personal debt, and that's the federal debt's even more than that per person. So each person is in massive, massive amounts of debt. And like I say before, and I'll say again until the majority of people understand this, is that it's not going to last forever. If going into massive amounts of debt was sustainable, then why not just give everybody a bunch of money? Like, why not do it? Because if massive amounts of debt is sustainable, why not do more? Why not do more? It makes no sense. Now, the only response they'll always dance around that question because the only response is to admit that the Ponzi scheme of massive deficits of free healthcare, of welfare, all this kind of stuff doesn't work. So they'll always dance around it, hum and haw, and never really give you a good answer. But like I say, it's a simple answer, and that anyone who understands math knows that you can't run massive deficits over and over and over again for decades, on end. And the one thing that I can't stand too is that a lot of these people claim to be moderates, and we're just moderate Democrats or moderate liberals. Well, a moderate liberal or Democrat would fall under the Keynesian school of economics. They would believe in Keynesianism, and under that theory, you only run deficits when the economy is bad. When the economy is good, you don't run deficits to make up for the deficits that you were running when the economy was bad. We run deficits no matter what. So they're not Keynesians. They're socialists. Like let's just be honest. Like that's something I can't stand. And like I say, I mention this all the time, but I need to keep mentioning it because people don't understand. Is that people wonder why is there this big political divide nowadays? Why is politics so polarized? Well, the biggest reason is that we have one side who can't be honest about their positions. They won't just tell people, yeah, we're socialists. We want as much free crap as we can possibly get. And they say, oh, I'm a moderate, but yeah, I want open borders and I want socialist healthcare and I want massive welfare programs. That's not a moderate. That's not even close. Not even close. So I just thought I'd make a video about this because like this stuff's gonna get worse before it gets better. That's the thing too, is that people are gonna have to suffer. The only way people learn lessons generally in life is to suffer. And the other problem you learn in life is that a lot of times it takes multiple times to learn a lesson, and that's what we're going to have to do as a province. That's what we're going to have to do as a country. Like I say, this is another reason to support Wexit. Not that there isn't enough already, but like I said, it's another reason. And if Alberta were to leave, it'd be a lot easier to pay off this debt. I mean, we could pay off this debt in a generation, no problem. Then we'd be laughing. We'd be laughing because Alberta has a lot of money available. Like we could pay this debt off in probably 10 or 20 years, no problem. But yeah, like I said, things are gonna get worse before they get better, and if we keep going down this path, people are gonna suffer a lot. And the problem is that the current system's quote unquote designed to keep people from suffering, and that's only true to an extent. It's only designed to kick the can down the road. That's why we have the taxpayer funded healthcare. That's why we have welfare, all this kind of stuff. It doesn't help the poor. It just kicks the can down the road, basically. But I'll leave it there. If you like the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.